Endo. We're going to call the Rockland Town Board meeting to order. I'm going to ask Councilwoman Charles to lead us in a pledge of allegiance.
Take the attendance.
Okay, we're learning on the job.
Go ahead.
Chris,
Councilwoman Charles.
Here.
Councilman Withers.
Present.
Councilman Rossman. Deputy Supervisor Ullman.
Here. Councilwoman
I
Charles.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Town Attorney.
The first item is acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 23rd, 2017.
Charles?
Holman. Oh, I forgot, I'm doing it. Okay. A motion by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Deputy
Withers.
Supervisor Ullman. All those in favor?
Nope.
I guess sorry.
Supervisor Ullman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried unanimous.
2A1 will be setting a public hearing date for January 28th at 7 p.m. to amend the finance law. June 28th, I'm sorry, June 28th. June 28th at 7 p.m.
Moved by Charles,
Withers?
seconded by Withers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously.
The next item, 2A2, is to set a public hearing date on June 28th at 7:05 p.m. to consider the adoption of a moratorium with respect to temporary modular units.
8:05, not
7:05.
7:05 is the workshop, so 8:05 is the 8 o'clock.
No, I
session.
thought you
Oh,
wanted
sorry,
the
sorry.
meetings, the regular meeting's
Mistake
going to be at
number 2,
7.
we're counting.
Okay, fine.
Moved by Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously. We're going to go out of order a little bit. We're going to pull F. Where is it? Item F, establishing a study committee for the RLDC. We're going to break that up into 2 different resolutions. The first resolution is to remove Chris St. Lawrence as the chairman or the president of the RLDC.
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Ullman. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries
Aye.
unanimously. The second half of the resolution is to establish a committee. We will table that till after the public comment, not table, after the public comments, then the board will vote on it. Attorney, you could continue, please. That'll be F2.
Okay, we're tabling 2B1, that's the crime against revenue prosecution. 2B2 is ratify the supervisor's signing of an agreement with respect to the cleanup at the former drive-in theater property.
Moved
Charles?
by Councilwoman Charles, seconded
Withers.
by Councilman Withers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
2B3 is the approval agreement with Rockland County Conservation Service for 2 workers to work at the town.
Withers?
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Mr. Deputy Supervisor, I'm not sure. What happened on 1 and 2 now?
1 was pulled. B1 was pulled.
2B4 is an agreement allowing Tolman Fire Department to use Camp Scuffy for their annual picnic.
Withers?
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
2B5 is approve a new pilot agreement with the Rampo Housing Authority with respect to Catamount and Pondview low-income housing complexes.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously.
2B6, I don't know if the board wants to table this to the next meeting. This is the use of our office to provide fire inspection services to the village. We were waiting to see if Ian was here. He's not here.
I would just like to make the board aware that the fire inspector for the village of Hempstead has left their position. They asked us to do this for emergency coverage purposes. Deputy Supervisor, we met briefly with Mr. Smith, and, not that they look to do this for a long term, but this is almost like on a per diem basis. And I would ask the board that approve it so that the village of New Hempstead is not without a fire inspector.
I'm okay with approving it, but we need to let New Hempstead know that this is strictly for emergency basis because we have to be able to completely comply with what we need to do here in the
So
town.
we can enter the agreement, and we can have on 30 days' notice to terminate.
Thank you.
Do we have enough staff to handle?
It's minimum over there right now, and I believe we do. I would like, the board has authorized that the personnel director
Ask for the fire inspector list.
Ask for an assistant fire inspector list. As you know, we had committed to the state to add additional assistant fire inspector, and we are anticipating doing that hopefully in next meeting or the meeting after that.
Yes.
Thank you.
But at the same time, if you could give New Hampshire the call, so that even though we passed it, we're just letting them know that we're doing it on an emergency basis because we need to hire more for them.
Yeah, but I'll
For the
tell
town
them
itself.
we're hiring them, but we can terminate upon 30 days written notice.
Okay, moved by
Charles?
Withers.
Councilman Charles, second by Councilman Withers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2B7 is an agreement between the town and the local CSA with regarding removal from service for pursuant to Section 71 of the Civil Service Law.
Withers.
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2B8 is an agreement with New York State DOT. They will modify and improve various traffic lights, and we agree to continue to maintain them.
Moved by
Withers.
Councilman Withers, second by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2C1 is a settlement of a tax certiorari with L&M Spring Valley LLC. It's been recommended by my office and the Office of the Assessor.
Withers.
Moved by Councilman Withers, second by
Charles?
Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2C2 is settlement of a certiorari brought by Hillcrest Center 2 and Hillcrest Center 3. It's been recommended by my office and the Assessor's Office.
I'm going to abstain from this because I'm not sure which building it is, and my wife is an employee of one of the places which I think is Hillcrest Center. So if that's the right place, I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
Withers.
Moved by Councilman Withers, second by Councilman Charles. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries 3-1 with one abstention.
2C3 is the grant
3-0, sorry, with one. Thank you.
2C3 is the grant of an exemption to Kahal Hasiди Square. It's been recommended by my office.
Moved by
Charles?
Councilwoman Charles, second by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2C4 is settlement of a certiorari brought by Minnetonka Golf Club LLC. It's been recommended by my office as well as the Office of the Assessor.
Charles?
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, second by Deputy Supervisor Ullman.
On the question. Deputy Supervisor, there's been a lot of controversy in the papers lately, and I've been reached out, I've been over by 100 emails, referenced this property. There's been some public discussions about the future of the Minnetonka Golf Course. I just want everyone here to hear me. As long as I am on this board, I will not vote for any down zoning of Minnetonka Golf Course. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2D1 is a settlement of a claim of Jonathan Rodriguez for damage to his vehicle in the amount of $1,975.18 plus up to $200 for car rental.
Moved by
Withers.
Councilman Charles, second by Councilman Withers. All those in favor? Carries unanimous.
2D2 is a settlement of claim of MetLife as subrogee of Diane Sussman in the amount of $4,650.27 plus $300 for car rental for damages to her vehicle.
Moved by
Withers.
Councilman Withers, second by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2E is a settlement of an action brought by Kevin Murphy against the town. We're recommending it be settled in the amount of $20,000.
Moved by
Charles?
Councilwoman Charles, seconded by
Withers.
Councilman Withers. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2G is establishing town board dates. It'll be the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. The workshops will be the Monday preceding the second and fourth Wednesday at 7 a.m.
7 p.m.
7 p.m., again, I'm off. And then the police commission workshop only will be the third Thursday at 9 a.m.
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
On the question, Deputy Supervisor, I want to give you, I want to commend you for this. This is something that the public also reached out to us immediately after the conviction of the Supervisor St. Lawrence, former supervisor. This was something that always had a pet peeve of some residents. They couldn't get here during the day because most people work. And I want to commend you because this was your idea, that you immediately took action on this, and you should be commended for it, and I thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2H is authorizing our special counsel to file an appeal in the matter of Santini versus the Town of Arapahoe.
Withers.
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by
Charles.
Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2I is authorizing an independent medical exam in the matter of Schwartz versus the Town of Arapahoe.
Charles.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Okay, 2J, I'm sorry. 2J is authorizing an injunction action against the owner of 93 Highview Road.
Charles.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles. second-
Withers.
Second by Councilman Withers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2K is authorizing an injunction action against the owner of 97 Highview Road.
Withers.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Withers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2L is authorizing an injunction against the owner of 50-52 Carlton Road.
Withers.
Moved by Councilman Withers,
Charles.
second by Councilman Charles. On the motion, I want to publicly apologize to the owners of, I didn't want to bring up the owners, but there was a print typo mistake. They put a wrong address on the original agenda, and that owner was very distraught while we were going to court to shut him down. So I do want to apologize. The correct address is, as council said, 5052 Carlton Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2M is increase in fee for Valuation Plus for the year 2016.
Withers.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Withers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2N is increase the fee payable to Valuation Plus for 2017.
Moved by
Withers.
Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2O is opposing, a memorializing resolution opposing the parole of the killers of Paula Boahevsky.
Council, will you read the resolution, please?
Whereas the town board wishes to express its continuing condolences to and support for the family of Paula Boahevsky, who was brutally murdered 37 years ago, as Paula's family asked the New York State Parole Board not to release her killers. Whereas in 1980, Paula Boahevsky was a talented artist, an inspiring actress, and a well-regarded member of the junior class at Pearl River High School. And whereas this young woman, burgeoning with energy and a zest for life, was tragically and senselessly murdered just 2 blocks from her home. Whereas the 2 young men who committed this heinous crime after a day spent drinking in a local bar received the maximum penalty for murder then allowed in New York State, 25 years to life in prison. Whereas Paula's family and friends, as well as those living in Round County at the time, can still recall the horror of that day. Whereas Paula's mother, Lois Boahevsky, must again relive that day as she fights to keep Paula's killers in jail by asking the parole board not to authorize the men's release, a task that she will often have to undertake because state law allows inmates seeking parole to reapply every 2 years. Whereas the murderers of Paula Boahevsky are again eligible for parole and are seeking release from prison. Now therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Arapahoe that the town board wishes to express its continuing condolences to and support for the family of Boahevsky, who was brutally murdered 37 years ago, as Paula's family asked the New York State Parole Board not to release her killers.
I move it.
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2P is authorizing the state to have legislation granting retroactive tax exemptions for Viola United Methodist, Wesley Chapel United Methodist, and Conbit Neg Lakay.
Withers.
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by
Charles.
Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2Q will authorize 2 new names for the 2 public roads that'll be serving the Park and Ride, Friedman Way, and Barron Court.
Withers.
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2R will agree to enter into agreement with New York State DEC for an MS4 grant.
Moved by
Withers.
Councilman Withers, seconded by
Charles.
Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2S approves the list of policy-making individuals who must file financial disclosure statement for 2016.
Charles.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by
Withers.
Councilman Withers. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
2T is accepting two sewer easements with respect to the project known as Route 306 Townhomes.
Moved by, anybody? Councilman Rossman, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Ullman. All those in favor? Opposed?
I'm a no.
Carries 3-1. The easement reclaimed by DPW, have no notice. We vote on it, please. Are we allowed to pull it back?
Can we retract it?
Well, she could,
I don't know who-
You'd have to pass a resolution
You move to remove it.
retracting,
I don't know
to
whose it is, so.
rescind the resolution.
Okay.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Table it to the next.
You make a motion.
Oh, but no one actually said aye on the vote.
It was voted on 3-1.
3-1?
With his no.
You'd have to make a motion,
I
Councilwoman.
make a motion to retract that resolution.
Rescind.
Rescind this
Rescind.
I'll
resolution.
second it. A second by Deputy Supervisor Ullman.
And we redo the actual vote.
All those in favor?
You gotta move in second.
No, you just
gotta-
rescind the resolution, then it's as if never existed.
Okay.
Yeah, it was moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Ullman. All those in favor?
I'm a no.
No, to rescind,
Okay.
to rescind.
And now it's as if never passed.
4-0.
Yeah.
Is that a first?
So you can put this back on for, I need to.
I can put it on another
I need the
meeting.
No, can we do
information.
it now?
You had a vote 3-1.
It can wait till the next meeting, I don't care. I just,
Okay.
I don't know who it is. so.
Okay, no problem.
Now, is this for the record? Has this ever happened before?
Yeah.
Yes, we've rescinded resolution, in my 39 years, at least once.
Okay. By a meeting, I'm saying by an actual meeting.
Yes, at a
Separated
meeting.
by a couple of meetings,
Okay, I'm saying by an actual meeting. Right away.
maybe at first.
We rescinded it, we rescinded the resolution.
And then I'll put it on the next agenda
Okay.
with more
More
information.
information.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to continue personnel since you're doing such a good job?
Yes.
Oh, Linda's here. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
That's okay, Alan can do
No, no, no,
Okay.
Linda.
If you want, I'll do it.
Now, being that we're hiring people, if you could just say the names, so
Of
it
course.
passes.
Item 3A is a resolution to nominate 6 police radio dispatchers. They're from Civil Service List 1245. The names are Michael Monroe, Kyle Lynch, Aaron Freed, Samuel Montal, Susan Starr, and Douglas DeBlasi.
Moved by Councilman Rossman, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. And I wish if they're watching, if it is on TV, if anybody even watches it, good luck to them.
Item 3B is a resolution to appoint 10 police officers at grade 5 certified. They are Sean Baird, Michael Carbone, Matthew Murphy, Valerie Patrick, Mike Samora, Sheila Samora, Ronald Simpson, John Smith, Nicholas Vega, and Philip White.
I move it?
Moved by Councilwoman Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous. Chief, is there going to be a pinning ceremony or a date undecided?
The date of appointment will be June 12th, and that's when they'll be sworn.
Okay, and there's going to be a separate ceremony for that? or-
Yes, for them and their families, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Item 3C is a resolution to appoint a permanent senior clerk typist in the Justice Court.
Withers?
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by
Charles?
Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
And 3D is a resolution to accept the resignation of a code enforcement officer part-time.
Withers?
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
4A is to authorize 2 police officers to attend the 2017 NASRO Conference.
Withers?
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
4B is to approve a Step 2 decision denying a PBA grievance.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
I see our finance director out of leave.
Mr. Lynch had to go to that meeting for the county, so he'd like me to go through. 5A is the amendment to the 2017 budget, forfeiture funds received by the county. I'd just like to mention, Deputy Supervisor, that all of these items were discussed in detail during the workshop, so unless the board wishes, I'll just go through them quickly, one at a time.
No, we have the resolution here, we just discussed it a few minutes ago, so let's move on. Okay, so on the forfeited funds, moved by
Withers?
Councilwoman Charles, second by Councilman Withers. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
5B is an amendment to the 2017 budget for the donation to the Golden Glove.
Just say the amount, if you could all say the amount.
The amount is $1,150.
Moved by
Withers?
Councilman Charles, second by Councilman Withers. All those in favor, say aye.
Twin
Opposed?
Cities, I'm
Carries
sorry.
unanimous.
Twin Cities is $4,000. You don't have to scroll down.
I think it's 10.
No, 10,000 was the grant. We've got the first quarter of $4,000.
But the total grant is $10,000.
Oh, we're only,
Item 5C is the amendment to the 2000 budget in reference to the Twin Cities Public Television.
Moved by Councilman Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
6A has been tabled to a future meeting.
No, we didn't table it.
Yeah,
We didn't table it.
Pampers, no?
No, we didn't table
Okay, I didn't know that, I'm sorry.
it. Councilman Withers is pretty familiar. He goes there, and he feels that it's a service to the town. The guy's not really making any money, so
So you have to,
It's a reduction of rent from $700 a month to $550 a month.
$150 reduction a month. Correct. And he gave you his financials.
Correct.
Did John Lynch look at the financials?
I'll give them to him.
So the resolution is subject to him agreeing with the
so you
financials.
can have that in the resolution.
Sure.
You're authorizing the
500,
deputy
350.
supervisor to sign a lease subject to the town attorney and.
200 utilities and 350 in rent.
And subject to the town attorneys reviewing it and.
Yeah,
to-
the
and to
standard
finance
resolution.
Checking their books.
I'll
as you
speak
say,
to
make sure it's all-
finance about that, right. So you have a resolution approving an agreement retroactive beginning of the year for 2017 for Spampies. $200 utilities and rent would be $350.
Why retro? Going
It's up-
forward.
Okay, going,
Michelle,
okay.
what was already, going forward, it's,
Well, we put it on the agenda for February, but we've been trying.
but he already committed to 5, so going forward.
We have
it's
billed him
5
that.
and it's
I don't know
going
if he's
down
paid.
He
effective.
hasn't paid anything yet. Because we put this on, we've been trying to get this on the agenda since February.
Right.
So Loretta hasn't billed him, but we could do either or. There'll be whatever you want
That
to do.
way.
Is this seasonal,
No, it's year round.
year round? And when is his lease start?
It's
It's
go,
year to year, January.
Or in January?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we want to go to a year from,
Yeah, that's fine.
Retro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
that's for
moved-
the entire year of 2017.
Moved by
Withers?
Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Item 7A on the agenda is the, 7A1, we have pulled, subject to our being in contact with the elevator company and being in touch by polling the board. 7A2 is acceptance of the proposal for maintenance of elevators at the Joseph P. St. Lawrence Center. It's $500 a month, payable quarterly. It's a 60-month agreement, and we can get, it can be canceled after 2 years.
Moved by, it's on the St. Lawrence Center. No, it's-
Oh, the
we
St.
tabled
I
the,
tabled the other one.
Yeah.
Withers?
moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by
Charles.
Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
The next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the purchase of the playground equipment for Camp Scuffy. The amount listed in your resolution, and
How
I have
much
to
is that?
scroll, and I believe it's $24,000. It's from Game Time, which is a
State contract.
state contract, $24,609.49.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Next item, 7A4 on the agenda is the acceptance of carpet installation at the Chalet by Capalbo and Sons in the amount of $11,986.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Item 7B1 on the agenda, I'm going to ask that town clerk amend the resolution caption to state that it's to supply and install wetlands plants for the wetlands mitigation project at the Palisades Credit Union Park as directed by the, under the agreements that we have to do that. I'm asking that we accept the bid of Cardinal Inc. in the amount of $60,550 as listed in your resolution.
On the question, There is no way. We are absolutely mandated to do this, correct?
I believe we are.
No, we are.
We are.
We absolutely are, man.
Pursuant to the
The
consent
agreement
order
We
with
have-
The
DEC.
government's order, right.
Yes.
Which is the only reason why went out to bid. We waited until we found out that we had no other option. And we consulted with the town attorney's office, Mr. Zarinko's office, and Michelle, and we were actually, it was originally thought that it would be much higher than this, and it came down based upon consulting with our consultant, Refus Torgensen.
Okay, on the motion moved by
Withers?
Councilman Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Item B, 2 on the agenda is the repair of the traffic signals and the pedestrian control devices. I'm asking you to accept the bid of Verdi Electric as recommended by our highway superintendent, and this, as listed in your resolution, and there are a variety of different costs associated with that.
Moved by
Withers?
Councilman Withers, second by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Item B3 on the agenda is the acceptance of the purchase of fertilizer for 2017. Based upon the recommendations of Dan Madar, there are approximately 7 companies that are listed in your resolution with a variety of items that we have to purchase for a variety of reasons for our golf course and other town facilities, including some that we've discussed go to the Palisades Credit Union Park. I'm asking you to accept the bid as listed in your resolution. We will document that which goes to the park and ensure that we accurately reflect that to the board upon our evaluation that takes place.
Also, you're going to work on what we talked about in executive session, I want to charge Boulders for the use of the lights on May 13th. I want to send them a bill, and I'll be glad to have the board sign it.
Yeah, I believe you mentioned it was a direct, I believe you said it was a I'm not sure, but I thought you said it was a personal party for and we will direct the bill to him or to the Boulders, whatever the board directs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What about a rent charge? Not just.
Well, I think the Director of Parks and Recreation should meet with the Director of Purchasing and the Town Attorney's Office how to approach this. But there is some, quite frankly, some BS matters about that, and I was pretty hot when the game was canceled because of rain, and yet one of the owners had the gall to have a party and the town of Ramapo paying for the lights. It's nonsense. So,
Okay, on the motion of the fertilizer,
Withers?
moved by Councilwoman Charles, second by Councilman Withers. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
7B4 is the acceptance of the bid of the calcium hypochlorite. The name of the company that won it is Treatment Specialist Division of Liquid Solid Separation Corporation at $143 per pail, and we're asking that you accept this bid.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, second by
Withers?
Councilman Withers. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Item B5 on the agenda is acceptance of the bid for the repair and replacement of existing sidewalks and curbs. Once again, there are a variety of items that are listed in the resolution. The winner of the bid was Bella Vista Construction Corporation. This has been recommended by Anthony Sharon, our Superintendent of Highways. I'm asking you to accept the bid as listed in your resolution.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by
Withers?
Councilman Withers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
I believe item
6 was
C6
pulled.
has been tabled. Item C, I'm requesting that the town authorize me to surplus a variety of property which is valued under $1,000, such as cell phones, older computers, monitors, fax machines, typewriters, and copiers, any projectors or other items.
On the motion, moved by
Asking that you declare them surplus and authorize me to dispose of them.
moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Item 7D, asking you to declare a variety of vehicles surplus and authorize me to dispose of them.
On the motion, moved by
Charles.
Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Item 8A on the agenda is in reference to additional fees that we owe to LaBerge Group and an additional stipend to allow them to continue some of the work that they're doing. I'm asking the town board to authorize an increase from $20,000 to $70,000 in the amount that we can pay our consultant LaBerge Group to perform the services that's listed in your resolution.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Ullman. All those in favor say aye.
I'm a no vote.
Carries 3-1.
Item 8B is pulled.
9A would be authorizing the deputy supervisor to execute the annual MS4 stormwater report.
Withers?
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
9B would authorize Christina Tui to be our designated representative for the cleanup of OU2.
Withers?
Moved by Councilman Withers, seconded by
Charles.
Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. We're going to open up public comments in about a minute, and then we have one item for after public comments, which will be the designation of a committee to study the RLDC. Comments are, before we open them, we're not doing a writing system. You don't have to raise your hand. Just work it out amongst yourself. We're all adults. Just come up, say what you got to say. It's 3-minute time, but if you're talking about the RLDC, we all read the papers, we all know the bad that's happened. If you try to focus on recommendations to the board of how to do a proper study for the RLDC would be helpful. Any other things, although you have the right to say whatever you want, it's not going to accomplish anything other than maybe making yourself feel good by attacking us, which is fine, you have that right. But if you want to give us an opinion of how, that's what we saved the committee on the RLDC for after the public comments, I believe, which most people are here for, to give us some input on what to do. During the executive session, obviously what was discussed was executive session, but the consensus of the board at the end of the executive session was that we want to hear from the public how best to set up this committee. We don't have the time to wait a month or two to set up this committee. This needs to be set up by the next few days. So the public is welcome to speak. The floor is whoever comes up first.
So Bruce Levine, 9 Robin Hood Road, Montebello, New York, 10901. So we are standing here at a moment of great opportunity to reset this town. So to cut to the chase, I am hereby offering my services to you and to the people of Ramapo to be supervisor for the balance of the year. If appointed, I will not run. I'm going to say that again. I will not run. Let the elections take place and select a new supervisor. The people of our town deserve real change. It's not just about our prior supervisor lying and breaking the law. It's not about giving developers whatever they want and instead creating instead, it's about creating reasonable zoning that accommodates the needs and desires of all of our town. It's about making those who break our laws pay dearly for their behavior in terms of tough enforcement. It's about getting a real grip on the budget and recognizing that the misgovernment of the past is killing us with higher taxes and lower property values. It's about reevaluating everything we, the town, does, and how what we do affects our many villages. It's about how our other governments relate to our needs, from the sewer district to our school districts. We are becoming more divided and more stressed every day. There are those who want to use these divisions for their own personal or political gain. They make up fake news and false claims to be tough, to act tough instead of seeking solutions to our problems. They do this to run against Ramapo. This has to stop. I am making this offer to you to try to use these next 7 months as a time to put forward ideas and policies to change our direction and heal our town. I am not perfect. I've had many successes and failures, made some great decisions and made some mistakes. As anyone who knows me knows that. Let the election year not distract us. We must take action, and action now, I love this town and its people. Maybe I can be of service. Thank you.
Judah Lehrer, 52 Brewer Road, Muncie. Not here to beat up any of you guys tonight, too badly. I want to say thank you on behalf of all the people in the town to Michael Parietti and to Robert Romanowski, whose work in exposing Christopher St. Lawrence, work you should have done, has brought us to a chance. I told you I won't beat you up too badly. That's pretty much it. Brought us to a chance to actually fix things. You said, talk about the subject at hand. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Well, I'm not going to waste your time tonight. I'm going to tell you some stuff that you do know or don't know. For you, Mr. Ullman, whose name was mentioned in the St. Lawrence trial, along with that of Isaac Lebovitz, you need to know that Isaac Lebovitz is broke. Preserve Ramapo tied his hands up on Patrick Farm, and he decided to allow himself to bleed to death. The only piece of property he has left is on Kiersing and 306, and he had to give away 85% ownership of that just to develop it. Stop talking to Isaac Lebovitz. Next thing, names are being floated around to replace Mr. St. Lawrence. The two names I'm hearing are David Freed and Mona Montel. You could do better than David if you were going to get Ellen Jaffe or Alden Wolf, but unfortunately neither of them are interested in the job. David's a good guy. He's clean, he's hardworking, he's honest. I've known him for a long time, even though I disagree with him politically. I've known his family for a long time. These are good people. It would be a wise choice. Mona, on the other hand, would make Christopher St. Lawrence look like Christopher Saint Lawrence. I've dealt with her in business, a notorious check bouncer. She was one of those people that used to get comped for Atlantic City. You only get comped if you're either rich, which she isn't, or an addicted gambler, which she is. And some of her business ventures have involved the police showing up to deal with her partners. Bad choice. Finally, to stick my nose in the Clarkstown's business, totally changing subject, because this animal who I'm mentioning sticks his nose into Ramapo, Monroe, and Lakewood. There's a neo-Nazi running for office whose name is Peter Bradley. Mr. Bradley protested a zoning variance for a Jewish day camp that was not an Orthodox Jewish day camp, but a conservative one. Mr. Bradley called the police in seeing a Hasidic man walking around Congers. Is this the reason why you called the police? Mr. Bradley was a subject of a joint statement by both the NAACP and Jewish Federation of Rockland County. Whatever can be done, thank you. Mr. Bradley's an animal. He needs to be stopped. Thank you very much.
Someone got to get up.
Good evening, Scott Goldman, Cottage Lane, Suffolk, New York. I'd introduce myself more, but everybody knows me here. Couple of comments that I have for the LDC. I think you should possibly bring in an outside accountant to start with. Take and seize all their checkbooks and books immediately and have it gone over through a forensics accountant. If you need help with anything, I am here to help. Everybody knows all I do is try to help the town. I've been doing it for 50 years. And Mr. Withers, I applaud you for saying that there won't be any downzoning to Minnesiongo. Minnesiongo should be left as it sits, and I have a vision of it with houses scattered about the outside perimeter, maybe 20 homes or 30 homes, and that's it. $1.5 million homes to help support the golf course, and the people that would live there would probably play on the golf course. I have reached out to several people, asking them if I could help them with getting it back open and turning it into a catering hall so everybody could come, enjoy, and then I never got a response. The idea of that place is to make it survive, make it make money, same as the town. You guys, I hope, are going to breathe some new life into the town. Yitzi, I have faith in you. I believe you're going to try to do the right thing. Pat and Brendel, I can never say anything bad about you. Pat, you've supported me on a lot of things. I've supported you on almost everything you've ever done. And I think what you're doing right now by saying no votes to certain things is a way of standing up, and I applaud you for it. It's about time. On the last thing, as everybody probably has heard, I'm running for supervisor come November. Probably be running in a primary. If you need any help with anything, need anybody to do anything, I'm here to help you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Dent, real quick. Sorry, Mr. Dent, you can come up, but I do want to recognize my mayor. He's here, Ed Markounis from the Village of Suffern, and any other elected officials. Bruce was a former chairman of the legislature. Mr. Hagan back there, Frank, from the Village of Suffern. I saw Ken Rosen and Ralphie here. I also recognize, sorry, anyone else I missed, but Tony Sharon, of course. But some of the elected officials here, I do thank you for coming, and especially former Mayor Jim Giattino as well, and my good friend growing up, knew me when I had a lot more hair and I was skinny, is Mr. Morris. He was a former trustee of Suffern. If I missed anyone out there, I'm sorry, I will pick up.
Is it true, was he actually skinny and had hair at one time?
He had as much as I did.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dent. Sorry, sir.
Rudy Dent, 8 Red Oak Lane, New Hampstead, New York. I live across the street from the golf club. Anyway, gentlemen, I was in court as many days as I could attend, and I got all the down and dirty details. And let's not pretend, we cannot overlook the fact that your association with St. Lawrence has tainted you all. Now, the defense was really summed up by the prosecution as shifting distractions, shifting the blame, and saying it does not matter. That was the essence of Chris's defense. What we need to do in this town now is we need transparency on several issues. I'm not here to, for the blame game. As I was there, I witnessed the defense going for the jugular in terms of trying to discredit the witnesses against Chris. And I have to give credit to Mr. Weathers for withstanding the most brutal and down and dirty attack upon his character and his personal life by the defense. I'll give you credit for that.
Thank you.
Okay? Now, we have to consider, well, here's something else I want you to understand. Michael Klein took the fifth, as you all know. So there's no question Michael Klein should step down immediately. All right? Michael Klein was also heard on a tape in the court where he stated, quote unquote, Mona Montel is the most unethical and dishonest person I have ever met in my life. To which Christopher responded, that's exactly why we need to have her around here. That'll give you an idea of the character of Chris. All right? Now, I had a member of the Orthodox community approach me out of concern for the ambulance corps over here, which, as you know, has 4 bays and could barely get 1 bay to respond. We're talking about life and death. We're talking about qualified members in the Orthodox community who are willing to serve but cannot. There is no charter, there's no transparency, and it's been brought to my attention that the ambulance corps is nothing but another slush fund for Chris's prior Ponzi games. Now,
Your time is up.
I have a lot more to tell you. And
Let other people speak.
may I finish?
Is it quick? If not, let
Yes,
other people speak.
yes.
Okay, so finish up.
on the, Yemen's Corpse, Klein. Oh, on the ball game, on the ballpark, it's my understanding we're spending $30,000 a month just to keep the lights on. Let's shut them off immediately. That was, I believe it was Chris who stated they needed to stay on for safety reasons because the police feared, you know, any kind of stuff. He has cameras there. We do have roving police who can, you know, check that area. So that's $30,000 a month, if I'm correct, can be saved right off the top, okay?
Mr. Dent, let's wrap it up so that other people
Okay,
can speak.
and the town transparency in terms of everything we need to know what's going on here. As a former police officer, I had to endure situations in this town under Chris where the police could not police, where the code enforcers could not enforce the codes, and wherein, if I still had my shield, I would have made the simple arrests for the things I had to endure. So that has to change. We have to let the police police, let the code enforcers enforce the codes with liberty and justice for all, not just some. One last, the last thing and the most important. The real hero here was Melissa Rima. She's the one who started the ball rolling, and she's the reason why Chris is gone today. And, you know, I understand she has a rightful suit against the town. I understand that she is on leave of absence with pay. Bring her back. She's proven her integrity, her courage, and her competence. The court has vindicated her. Let's bring her back.
It's Robert Romanowski, 183 Maple Avenue, Muncie. What I want to address from going to the trial of the supervisor is our town attorney, Michael Klein. In order to testify, first he took the Fifth Amendment and would not testify until he was granted an immunity order by Judge Seibel. Part of the testimony was about a receivable on the town books for $3,080,000. And this remained there, and letters were requested by the auditors to be written about why this remained on the books. In 2011, Mr. Klein wrote a letter to Nick DeSantis about this receivable, and he said the town will pay $1,080,000 imminently. I looked in my Webster's dictionary here for the definition of imminently, and the definition is pending, near at hand. Also in the letter, Mr. Klein said the town will pay $2 million by December 31st, 2011. No payments were made in 2011. Well, here comes 2012, and another letter was written by Mr. Klein to the auditors. In this one, he said $1 million will be paid this calendar year, and $2,080,000 will be paid by December 31st, 2013. This was never paid. Did he not check with the RLDC on their finances to see if this could be paid before writing these letters? This was finally paid by the RLDC in 2015 and 2016. I don't think that fits the definition of imminently. Also, with this, given all these facts, how can you accept Mr. Klein as an attorney and believe and get trustworthy information from him? I'm asking this board to pass a resolution to remove Michael Klein as a Ramapo Town employee. Thank you.
Camille Saunders, 95 West Carlton Road, Suffern, unincorporated Ramapo, where anything goes. First, I want to say to this board, when the members of the town voted no for the ballpark, this board had the right to overrule the felon. This board chose not to do that. Last year, when the felon got indicted, we came into this room and we were extremely vocal on how we felt about him being here. The board should have done something about that. Now this board, this so-called board that is owned and operated by the felon, now you want us to believe that things are going to change and this board is going to care for all of Ramapo. Don't believe it. The only way things will change in this town is if we remove every single crook on this board. You're all corrupt.
Hey guys, Joseph Gravagna, Suffering. I first wanted to make a comment to the last speaker, hold everybody here a felon. I want to thank Councilman Withers. His actions were courageous. 3 years, he taped the supervisor. He buried him. If it wasn't for Mr. Withers' actions, he probably would have got off. Okay? Just be very clear on that. So thank you, Pat. Thank you for your help and your courage. I think everybody owes him an applaud, guys. He did a lot of work in this town. Okay. Gentlemen, the other 4 towns, okay, in Rockland County all have our boards on their website. When they expire and who's on those boards. I think we have to update our site significantly and make sure all the people on our zoning boards, on our planning boards, are visible, who they are, and when their times expire. Now, just real quick on the issue at hand that we had the open for the LDC. The full order should be done by an RFP. I think we should have the best firm that's qualified. I don't think you guys should rush through into that because it's a pretty serious issue. There's also people that are working for the LDC that have to be reviewed, the benefits and what they're getting. It shouldn't be just be a charity and be free here. I think you should be actually earn your money here. It shouldn't be just a no-show job, not to mention names, because I know that people do work hard and have families. But I think we have to take a hard look at benefits and things that are costing the town now that gentleman, I don't mention his name, is no longer here. Thank you.
Excuse me, please. Excuse me, you had your turn. It's now someone else. Mr. Weber, please go ahead.
Bill Weber, 16 Rose Hill Road, Montebello. I want to welcome you all back from a long absence. I want to also commend Councilman Withers. I know you took your lumps, and I don't agree with everything I heard at the trial, but I commend you for at least your candor at the trial itself. I have a few items that I'd like to discuss. As Mr. Romanowski says, I was looking at the agenda a few minutes ago and I saw that there was a resignation of a code enforcer. I was expecting to see a resignation for the town attorney. I was also hoping to see a resolution for the deputy finance director. The town of Ramapo is going to be on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars in an SEC fine. The town of Ramapo has probably spent, and I think Mr. Oman, you probably want to find out how much money you've spent so far on SEC defense attorneys so that Michael Klein can keep his law license. I think it's something that we as taxpayers should not foot the bill for. Some other items. In the adopted budget this past year, you guys left out the anticipated revenue that you would collect from the Ramapo Central School District, which amounted to, I think, $800,000 or $900,000, because at the time there was legislation pending before Governor Cuomo to allow the school district to collect their own money. The governor vetoed that bill, but you guys never amended the budget, so you guys are going to have a windfall of about $800,000 or $900,000 in the budget that could be used by the school children of that school district, that could be used by the teachers. I'm hoping that that money is not going to be used to pay the SEC fines and pay the SEC attorneys. There's also, I believe, about $1.3 million in the budget for the fee that you collect on the school taxes related to the East Ramapo School District. Again, monies that could be used by the school districts that are in dire needs of that money. I think coupled with Mr. Ullman's statement the other day that you want to eliminate the receiver of taxes to save money, we all know that it doesn't cost $2.1 million to run the receiver of taxes department. And especially if you're going to eliminate it, I think the board needs to reconsider the collecting of that fee and let the school districts collect their own money, because they've both said that they can collect the money at a far reduced price than what you guys are charging. And I believe the fee that you guys are charging are the highest fee, at least in Rockland County. And lastly, second to lastly, I know I've spoken to your new finance director, who I happen to like, and we've communicated on many occasions. I know the financial statements were going to be coming out in early March, and they haven't come out. It's May now again. I'm sure it takes a matter of time to really go through the numbers, because obviously this the court proceedings that we have shown that the statements were probably inaccurate going back a number of years, and I'm sure there's a lot of restatements that need to be done. So I understand that it's going to take a long time. I would like to get some sort of update as to when we're going to get that. So I think it's very important that the town people know what the fiscal condition of the town of Ramapo is. And lastly, now that the supervisor is no longer in charge, his salary, I assume, is a savings line item, and I want to know if that's how that's going to be handled within this year. Thank you very much.
Deborah Munitz, 5 Rose Hill Road. Good to see you, Board. Thank you. Just over a year ago, May 11th, I stood before the Board with recommendations on moving forward. Unfortunately, I received no reactions from the Board that night or since then. Tonight, I stand before you again to reiterate my request that the remaining Board provide the leadership that the town has lacked in the past. And to me, this means addressing head-on key issues at hand between the town board and the town residents, poor communications, and a lack of trust. I want to thank you for an excellent initial set of announcements, but going forward, your actions will speak louder than words. Please consider the following for action items at the next board meeting. Resolve that all public notices from all departments and all boards be on the website in a clear and designated area at least 11 days before any town board, planning board, zoning board, or other department board decision is considered. I'm going to give you a copy, Pat. Resolve that all public meeting agendas from all departments and all boards are posted to the website with the date of posting and an indication of any updates since the initial posting in a clear and designated area. Resolve to make video recordings of all public meetings in digital format, not VOB files that can't be used, and post it to some town YouTube channel like other towns do. This includes all board meetings, CDRC meetings, and other meetings that are deemed public meetings. It's free, and it's easy. Resolve to order unofficial transcripts of all public meetings to be posted on the web within a week of all the meetings. Such transcription services are available for about $1 to $1.50 a minute. 10 to 12 hours of public meetings a month would be less than $1,000 and would greatly improve town record keeping and the production of public minutes, and I think that you would save immeasurably on just the work that people need to do the minutes, and we'd have a lot more records that we can all look at. Resolve that all public meeting draft minutes from all departments and all boards are posted to the website at least 11 days before the following meeting. You come here, you vote on minutes, and the public never has the ability to actually look at them before you vote on them. So when there's mistakes, and I've caught mistakes, we don't even have the ability to send a note to you asking you to fix it. And I know I've made comments that haven't made the minutes, and that's not right. We need to resolve that no local law should be passed or changed without a pressing immediate need on the same day as the meeting in which a public hearing is opened. All public hearings on law changes should be kept over between at least 2 board meetings before being voted on. If there's a pressing immediate need, you need to clearly state that. I've said that before, and I think that that gives the public the ability to come, listen, learn, digest, ask questions. The town board should follow proper and clear rules with respect to all voting and ensure that everyone, follows these rules. So, in addition to the yeses and nos, if people are going to vote no, they should provide reasons. There shouldn't be the sort of silent head nods. I want the board to be active. If you want to vote no, say why. If you want to abstain, say why. If you're going to vote yes, speak up. So when there's no public hearing on a matter before the board, but someone from the public wishes to be heard prior to a vote, because we're not allowed to talk in the workshops, right? You guys vote on everything before anybody walks, is allowed to stand up at the podium. If someone's really waving their hand because they have an important question or they have an important comment, maybe keep it to a minute, but, if it's a new matter that hasn't been on some kind of an agenda, people should have the opportunity to participate. I recommend you consider doing what the Ramapo Central Board does. They post their agenda items, they let the public participate for a limited period before the meeting so questions can be gone through, and then when you go through your resolution items, you can comment, okay? I address those questions and comments as you go through the meeting. If a resident of the town of Ramapo puts a question to a town employee in writing, answer the questions. We have no engagement. The town is paying your salaries, and if we have a question, or a suggestion or something, we deserve some kind of acknowledgement, a response, or an explanation. This shouldn't be an adversarial situation. This should be a cooperative situation, and cooperation requires two-way communications. On the matter of the temporary modular law, I want to thank you for announcing a planned moratorium and overhaul of the law. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about that. However, I remain concerned about the handling and processing of any pending applications, and I'm concerned that the time it's going to take to pass the moratorium is going to cause undue influence and stress on town officials to issue permits in a hasty fashion. If you want to make a clear departure from the sins of the past, you need to make sure that you don't capitulate to pressure to approve any additional temporary schools under the problematic and arguably illegal temporary modular law. For instance, like 104 Highview is one of the ones going through the works. The June 28th public hearing date seems very far in the future for such a thing, and I want to know why. Based upon my thoughts, you should be doing it sooner and keeping it open for the 2 meetings. That public hearing should be the second public hearing before you vote on it, and you should actually try and move up. I recommend that you consider, before you close, that you consider moving up the public hearing, get the public involved, get the notice so that you can actually make a decision on June 28th. We're concerned about the town board considering a change to the zoning law without adequate research and analysis. I know someone else is going to talk about that, so I'm going to skip it, but I'm really concerned about that, and I really believe that we don't have a plan in place to get proper analysis before you guys go ahead and do that. And I know that the planning board is going to give a recommendation, and I don't have any faith that they're getting any kind of reasonable thought process. There's no public hearing, and I have no idea if there's going to be even a town planner chiming in. It's time to formalize the retirement plans of the town attorney. I'm not even going to reiterate, everybody else has spoken about it. I agree with everyone else. It's just time. If he's not, let go tomorrow, there's a transition, you need to start that transition. I think that in terms of going forward,
Not to cut you off.
I'm almost done. I'm really almost done. So one of the things that I think is also important, tonight is an unusual circumstance. Usually you have a workshop ahead of time. When you put together the agendas for the town meetings, I would recommend that you include a little bit more details carried over from the workshops. Numbers should be listed. When you make things, list the numbers, list the names, create a record so that if people are going back to see what happened, we should know who the people who are being hired, who are being fired, who are being whatever the numbers are, whatever the competitive bids are. If you've got competitive bids, and maybe you make a threshold, but if something's like maybe $5,000, $10,000 or higher, talk about the bids. We want to hear that there were multiple bids and why certain bids were picked over others. And with respect to this new item with LaBerge, I'm really interested in knowing what kind of a work product that consultant is doing if you guys want to go spending another $70,000 on them. So I think that's really important. I think that one of the comments that came up is that what we did hear out of the trial is that there's a lot of politics behind the decision-making that has gone on in the past. This is a job. You guys are being paid for a job. That's it. It's just work. It's work for the people, and it should be work for all the people. It shouldn't be an antagonistic relationship. You know, you should have the leverage of all of the highly intelligent and passionate people of the town of Ramapo, and you should be taking advantage of that, and you shouldn't be fighting. And I, for one, are just absolutely sick of it. And I just want to also chime in, you know, thanks, Pat. I really appreciate that you, like he said, like Bill said, you took the lumps and you came forward, and it was helpful, and I appreciate that. So, since I really actually hope you'll do something with us, I'm going to give a copy, and if you could submit it, you know, let's have a workshop. Let's actually start working together. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Zeidman, I know it was kind of last minute. I was hoping to hear some recommendations before we vote on the RLDC team. So maybe while the rest are speaking, you could help us brainstorm with that. Okay. So after everyone finishes, so everyone has their chance to speak.
Shani Beckhofer, 3 Zabriskie Terrace. I don't have any insults, and I don't have lofty statements of general import. I would like to talk about a very specific issue, as Deb just mentioned. I note that a proposed change to zoning law regarding gross floor area calculation is scheduled to come before the Planning Board on June 6th without a public hearing, and then before the Town Board on June 14th. I question the wisdom and wonder about the impetus for revising this specific detail of the zoning code at this particular moment. It's important not to create the appearance that the town is somehow manipulating the code so as to bypass certain current legal challenges to the town or to particular development projects. If you keep this process transparent, that allows citizens to have voice regarding changes to our zoning codes, it will be a step towards restoring our trust that this board is not engaging in devious tactics, but is rather genuinely interested in clarifying some unclear terms in the codes, specifically at this time. The board is certainly aware of the volatility of issues of planning and zoning in this town. You are aware that on June 6th, the trial of former building inspector will commence. You are aware of the scathing report from the New York Department of State, noting how utterly unreliable and inadequate our building department's policies and procedures are. Until we have meaningful oversight and accountability in that department, frankly, it makes zero sense for this board to tinker with terminology while ignoring the big picture. Frankly, it's past time for a thorough repeal and replace of the weak zoning codes and the outdated comprehensive plan, but with 2 caveats. One, there should be a pause in the frenetic rate of applications to the ZBA and Planning Board, allowing these boards to catch up with the backlog of cases already in process. And 2, that this time, if you revise them, the laws, codes, and comprehensive plan should actually be enforced. Until this happens, a cloud of suspicion will unfortunately hang over proposals to rewrite specific sections of the code. Therefore, if you're going to move ahead with this revision and proposal to amend the code, then I would like to request that you please schedule a public workshop before the planning board meeting about this proposal so that the citizens will have an opportunity to freely discuss our concerns about the proposed amendment with the town attorneys, whoever they might be. We have done this in the past, and it has been a very respectful and productive interaction, and it resulted in improved language in the revised code that addressed some of our issues of concern and also addressed the concerns of the state of New York. So please, I'm asking you to create an opportunity for citizens to participate and discuss with the attorneys this proposed change in the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Genatino, Suffering 2 Memorial Drive. If you're seriously going to look at your code and your master plan, and you truly want to revise it for the good of the whole town, you should do a 6-month or a year moratorium on all building till you change your code.
Ed Sheridan, Pascack Road.
I beg your pardon?
Ed Sheridan, Pascack Road. I think you guys are starting off cleaning. You need a lot more house cleaning to go. As far as the RLDC is concerned, with respect to the sale of that property from the ball field, the sale was arguably illegal, and the new board must take action immediately to ascertain the legality of this sale. It's my understanding that the sale of the town property without a public bid, not subject to a permissive referendum, and in direct conflict with the stated intent of the transfer to the RLDC. That's $5 million. Please make a clear statement before closing the meeting tonight as to what will be done to rectify this situation.
What property are you talking about? You talking about
Across from the ballpark, there was
301
gonna be a
Pomona Road?
hotel.
I will
Yeah,
address that. with
That
you.
transfer,
Yes.
okay, $5 million.
Anyone else like to speak for the public? I make a motion to close the public.
Motion moved by Councilman Withers, second by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimously. I'm now going to direct the floor to Councilman Withers to bring up the resolution about the RLDC, about the committee that will be set up. And unless Ms. Zeidman, you have something to say real quickly about it? Well,
I would just hope that you would make it an open process and should include a citizen workshop.
yes, I'll let Councilman Withers address it. Councilman Withers address what was discussed, what the conclusion, what we feel is the right thing to do by the executive session.
Yes, I will just have ask council to read into the public the minutes of the resolution, and then I will speak after you conclude your statements.
Okay. Whereas the town board wishes to establish a committee to study the future of the Ramapo Local Development Corporation, including its possible dissolution, and submit a report to the town board. Now therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Ramapo that it hereby establishes a Ramapo Local Development Corporation Study Committee to study the future of the Ramapo Local Development Corp. And its possible dissolution, and submit a report to the town board within 60 days. Be it further resolved that the committee shall consist of the following members: Deputy Town Attorney Janice Gittleman, Finance Director John Lynch, Operations and Budget Coordinator Mona Montal, and 2 public members.
Define public.
Define the public members.
Public members will be members who submit, people who wish to be on this committee. They should submit a resume to the town clerk's office by the middle of next week, and at the next board meeting, the board will appoint 2 public members to the board. They will not be members of any current town employees or town boards. Or any elected officials.
And I'm strongly urging the board to take consideration appointing Robert Romanowski, 1, to the RLDC itself, and 2, to this committee. He has been a watchdog over this. He's been the one that's been forefront, him along with Mr. Castelluccio, and I believe that he is absolutely qualified to be the eyes and ears for this committee and for the public to feel confident enough that someone has got their back. So.
Motion is carried by
Withers?
Councilman Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimous. The meeting is now adjourned.
No,
Motion to adjourn?
Councilman
Sorry,
comments, Councilman
sorry,
comments, sorry. I heard your comments, and I am sorry if I let you down for some of the things I did vote for. But like Mr. Dent and Mr. Romanowski, they were there. I spent 10 hours of brutal testimony and cross-testimony. And for that, I am proud. I am calling for the reinstatement of Melissa Reamer immediately. I am calling for the resignation and termination of Michael Klein immediately. I am also calling for this board to take a resolution to rescind Resolution 245 of 215 and stop paying for the defense of the SEC for those who are charged. I am also asked the town attorney's office to commence conversations with the law firms of whoever's representing the Rockland County Sewer District Number 1 for us to do the right thing and right the wrongs for what the supervisor did wrong. I'm reaching out to everyone here on TV and in this audience who has anyone who could speak about the property of Mr. Sharon who just spoke about 301 New Pomona Road. I believe, and I signed the transfer of that deed because I believe I was lied to, like I was many times over the years, and fraud. I am encouraging everyone to approach the new Hempstead Board and elected officials to vote no on that potential project because there is a reverter clause that property comes back to the taxpayers of the town of Arapahoe. You need to get involved on that one, folks, because we need to take that back. I am also calling for a forensic study immediately for the audit, for the RLDC and for the town of Arapahoe finances. I will not stop there, and I'm also calling for forensic audits and overhauls for our town building, planning, and zoning codes. I would also like to encourage that we are starting an RLDC committee based on, with town board and town officials and community members. We do the same thing for our zoning, planning, and building departments by adding 2 people to the building and zoning committee, and I would recommend Debbie Simon Munich for that to be on there. I will not sit here and pontificate, and I am not proud of some of the things I did over the last few years. But I will tell you this, I sat there for 10 hours, folks, and I did the damn right thing. And I am done. Thank you.
Any other council comments? One other? Motion to close the meeting?
Withers.
Councilman Withers, second by Councilman Rossman. All those in favor? It's Councilman Withers, Councilman Rossman. Opposed? Carries unanimous. Good night, folks. Thank you.